Welcome to the Engineer Whisperer podcast, everyone. This is on transition and specifically on director role transitions. And today, my guest is Louise, and I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast, Louise.
Thank you, Andrea. It's really exciting to be here, and thank you for your invitation.
No, it's really my pleasure. I'm looking forward to the conversation today. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we start.
Of course, my name's Louise Webb. I live in Sheffield in the United Kingdom, and currently I'm a director of a small family-based engineering company. I came to this role through various other roles, including being in software engineering and also as a lecturer at university. And I think all of these previous roles have combined to enable me to do the role I'm doing currently.
Well, let's find out more about the role and your transition. Oh.
So, the director role was offered to me by my lovely husband, who set up a company, an engineering company, because he's been an engineer since he was 16 years old. And I accepted quite tentatively because although I'd done software engineering, I hadn't done the type of engineering he was doing, which was more mechanical. Um, However, in my mind and in my philosophy in life, I think nobody is in any place where they cannot learn. I'm in my 60s now, I'm 62, and I'm in the middle of doing an engineering degree. And I've passed the modules and I'm just about to start doing my dissertation. Okay.
Well,
So
let's say a congrats, and I mean let's celebrate the steps along the way, not just the achievement. So congrats on that. I'm celebrating with you. And it's wonderful. I have this curious question. When someone invites us into a role, I always ask them, what do you think was what do you think they saw that the invitation was for? They saw in you. So in this case, your husband saw that you will bring to the company.
I think he realized that I had complementary skills to himself. So, like I previously said, I used to be a lecturer, and before that, I worked in a big telecoms company where I used to go out and talk to clients and host road shows and do various things where I would advertise the things that we were doing. And I think that outgoingness, that I'm going to put it out there, I'm an extrovert, okay? Don't kill me. What am I doing on this podcast? Of
I
course, I'm an
love it.
extrovert.
Well, I love it that he recognized that that side is also important, and that yin yang. So it's two halves make a whole, and
Yeah,
how
exactly.
yeah, and how
Yeah.
cool that.
Yeah, because in any organization, we know this, that you need all the different types and of people. I mean, like I'm an extrovert. One of our very first recruits, and she's still with us. She started on, I think it was 10 hours a week, and now she's doing a full-time role, and she's our customer service manager. She is so precise and so detailed orientated. It's absolutely brilliant because I can tell you, I am not a detailed person. I'm an ideas person, and I see the, if you like, the strategy, the big picture, but
Mm,
don't put me down to do detail. I'll do it if I have to. It's
well,
not what I want to do on a day-to-day basis.
there's
But
value in knowing what you don't want to do.
yeah, absolutely. But so yeah, so David saw that I could do the outward facing things, and um, I've had a ball because I'm in charge of the marketing budget, which I overspend on a regular basis, which is and we had a lovely conversation last year. Last year we did a big conference in Manchester in Lancashire,
Mhm.
England. And we had to design a whole stand. Well, we had to come up with the concept and we paid someone to do the design. And I said to my husband, who's a mechanical engineer, I said, what do you think engineers would like to look at daily? Would they like to look at pictures of machines on our stand, or would they like to look at people on the stand? And he said, without hesitation, he said, people. And that's what the stand was. It was showcasing the people in our company and saying what they did. No pictures of machines, no pictures of anything technical. It was all about the people.
So he got something from you. You rubbed something off him. The machines are important and people. So tell us about your transition. What came easy? I'm so curious. Now you have this dynamic with husband and wife. So there's some already knowledge of each other and a core relationship. So what came easy in this transition for you?
Writing the word director after my name. That was easy. Everything else was quite a challenge and is an ongoing challenge. Because for a start, I'm a woman in a man's world, let's be honest. The number of women that go into engineering is astonishingly low. It's tiny.
Yeah.
And in the past, like I mentioned, I worked for British Telecom, big telecoms company. And back in the day, we were doing video and teleconferences before anyone else. And I was the project manager. So I would be on a telephone conference with maybe 10 telecoms engineers. And nobody needed to ask when I spoke who it was because I was the only woman. So if Louise is speaking, if they can hear a woman's voice, that must be the
That's
project manager. So I used to take that as a positive. I used to think, well, you know what, when Fred's speaking or when Bob's speaking, they keep saying, who's that speaking? Because we weren't used to this tech. We weren't used to doing work in this way.
yeah.
But when I chirped up, that's British. When I spoke up, they knew it was me. Okay, so that's the nowadays there's still an awful lot of how can I put it? If I come up with an idea in a meeting, 10 minutes later, a fella comes up, a man says the same thing. Oh, guess what? It's his idea, not mine. And I'm old enough to either make my decision, is this a fight worth having, or shall I just let him have my idea, which I just said 10 minutes ago. you know.
Well, I like that you're sharing us about your mindset, kind of looking at things as opportunities and then also being aware of, when to pick your fight, what's worth fighting for in this world.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Many years ago, someone introduced me to Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I don't know if you've ever come across it.
no, not yet.
Oh, TSUN, Sun TZU, Sun Tzu. He was a Chinese warlord back in just before the Jesus thing happened, and he wrote a book, and and it's still there today. You can buy it off the shelf. And one of his credos was, "Don't fight a battle you can't win."
Oh,
That
okay.
was
I heard that one. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's
Okay.
some.
I didn't know.
Yeah. There is actually, I've got it downstairs in the library. Someone has taken it and adapted it, and it's called "The Art of War for Managers."
Oh, well, I'll take that resource. Well, I'll add it to the podcast notes for our guests, our listeners to, pick to go
Yeah,
find it and put it
go
on
find
their shelves now and read it. So, yeah, if you have things like that to share, yeah, we'll just attach it to the notes. So
it.
easy was okay. So there's not a lot of items under the easy for transition. Um, Tell me maybe something that was surprising. What was surprising in your transition?
Do you know what surprised me was how much of my previous roles, which were like teacher and project manager, was so transferable to the role of a director.
Oh,
They were amazing,
tell me
amazing
more.
surprise. Leadership, directing meetings, understanding how to get something done, deciding which, like we've just explained, which battles to fight, which ones to leave.
Mhm.
The whole, how can I put it? managing risks, but the risks you're managing are the risks to your whole business now. It's you know, your project is your business, so you're looking at risks in a whole different way. And when, as in my case, it's my business, then that brings it home even stronger that you
Yeah.
can't, and plus once you start employing people, you can't, in my world, in my values, play fast and loose with people's lives and with people's income. So you have to be really careful about what challenges you decide to accept and which ones you say, no, we're not doing that, because that could end this enterprise called our company, and with it the livelihoods of all these people who we've taken on this journey with us. So there's an awful lot of responsibility, in my opinion, that comes with having that word director after your name. And you know, and quite low down on my list of concerns is how much money I'm going to make, because that isn't, to me, that's not a motivator. It's a nice thing if the money is coming in, but there's far more important things than that.
Mm.
You know, we work in healthcare engineering. I haven't mentioned that.
Yeah.
Which, you know, not to be, we are helping keep people safe.
There are literally lives on the line,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
you're
People's, yeah.
part of. So transferable skills, yes, having, you know, recognizing that you already have some tools in your tool bag, it's great. And being able to maybe upgrade them, look at what you have, and then you can give it an upgrade if needed. That's also super cool, because then you're not starting from ground zero.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when I took on the role, like I say, I was a novice in that role,
Hmm.
and my approach was, well, I need to learn every aspect of this before I can actually pass that on to somebody else and then turn my attention to something different. So I would say I know every part of the business, because at one stage I did it. So we have standard reports, engineering reports that come in and have to be compiled and
Hmm.
sorted and clarified and then sent out. Well, I spent months doing that myself. So I understand that process from start to finish. I'm not saying that's essential for people to do that, but in my case, I felt I needed to, because it means that I walked the walk. So I know what that task entails.
I see.
And yeah, and also now we've just gone through a quality gate called, it's called ISO 9001. I don't know how it translates into American standards. So we're now looking at things from start to finish again, and making sure that the standards that we are supplying to our clients are the ones that we expect, that we tell them we're going to do. So that's kind of put the onus back on the directors, if you like, to make sure that that's going to happen. And that's interesting. And that is, you mentioned the word transition. That's a transition right now that we're going through as of
Mm.
last week. I mean, that's, yeah.
So what challenges are you running into, if any?
We are having to accept that some of the trust that we have put into some subcontractors might not have been entirely justified. Perhaps we need to rein some of the parts of the company in, give it a refresh, do some re-engineering of our own, internal re-engineering,
Hmm.
to make sure that, you know, what we supply is consistent. I think that's important.
Yes, I think starting something better starts with finding out where we are right now.
Yeah,
So really doing that check. And
yeah.
from a human perspective, Louise, what was something challenging for you as taking on that role?
Um, I think from a human perspective, as a child, if you'd said to me, do you want to be an engineer? I would have said, no, I want to be a doctor.
Ah.
So it wasn't my life plan. It wasn't in the script. So I think the challenge is it's a mental thing.
Is it to
People,
accept it that it's here now?
yeah, it is. It's to accept
Okay.
it. It's to say,
Okay.
you know what? I mean, apart from the fact it's just a label, but we live or die on our labels, don't we? We want labels. Let's be honest. I'm sat here now, and I've got a label on my chest, which has got a logo and my name on it. Okay, that's partly because in UK hospitals you have to have badged clothes when you go
Oh,
in.
didn't know that. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. um, but aside from the badge on my chest, I think that I can walk the walk as an engineer. I think I can look people in the eye and say, yeah, I'm your engineer. I'm here to help you. Tell me what your problems are. And I think I'm bringing to it some skills such like you talk about on your some of your posts about listening, about understanding, about not always being able to get things right. And I think that's important. It's important to say, I might not have got this right. And I used to teach risk management, and a lot of the things that engineering things that have gone wrong can often be because somebody didn't just stop and go, look, I think we've got it wrong, let's stop.
Mm.
And the famous one being the Challenger disaster, where
Mhm.
unfortunately people perished because
Yes.
nothing was done when the engineer said, hey, I think this is this
Yes.
is a stop, don't go. But they didn't. um
Yes.
it's a challenge in any big organization. We all, if we start working in big organizations, and you mentioned you worked in some, for an individual to put the hand up and go, hey, I think this is wrong, is a challenge.
So I am curious where, because I can hear the confidence in your voice. And for all the women engineers who are listening who might not feel that confident as you do right now, share with us a little bit of where this confidence coming from. How did you build it? Maybe the journey of finding it. Not sure what the right
Yeah.
question that you resonate with, but that's what I'm interested in. It is as is your courage journey.
You know what, Andrea, that's a really tough question, and I'm not going to pretend I've got any kind of slick answer for you. I think if I look back, I would say that I've probably learned, and I know this is a truism, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think I've learned more from the things that I failed at than the things that I've succeeded at. I really have. There's no question about that. That I have tried things, I've tried to do things that didn't work, and picking yourself up, dusting yourself down, and going, do you know what? That didn't work. Okay, that doesn't matter. In the whole scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I've tried to get a PhD. I don't know if this, aware of that type of. It's a very difficult and
Mhm.
arduous type of degree. And I tried to get that degree twice, and I failed twice. And I was, it was a knockback. I was upset. It meant that I couldn't go on and get a full-time job as a lecturer. And at the time, that felt like my whole world had fallen down around my head, because that was the only thing I wanted to do. But once I sat and stared at the issue long enough, I realized there were loads of things out there I could do, loads. And just this one thing that I'd had my heart set on, which was to be a professor, okay, I couldn't do it. Move on, go and do something else. So I got a dog and started walking the dog. thinking about what to do. And then my husband came along and said, well, come and be a director. I'm like, you sure? I don't
You,
know.
you see, it's interesting because when we have these pauses in our lives, when we, using your terms, we fail at something, we don't succeed, or somebody else gives us the leave and gives us the notice to, okay, your, role job has been terminated. So anyway, it's when we get these breaks in our lives where we are on pause, we know we're going to transition into something else because what we had that closed, that was let go of, then it's interesting how people show up, how opportunities show up. And I often talk with engineers that when you would have just been continuing what your default life and doing what you've done, the opportunity, even if the opportunity would have shown up, you would have not noticed it because there was no break in your life. And if
That's
you
so
don't
true.
notice it, if someone doesn't take the courage, like your husband, to invite you to the director role or invite you
Oh,
to a different role,
oh. No, you're absolutely right.
you would
Yeah,
have not said yes because you would have been doing something else and on a different path. So I know it's so
that,
interesting.
that's really insightful of you, and it is interesting. And you know what? So the thing I grieved for when I realised that the maybe working at the universities wasn't going to work was the actual teaching, the being in a classroom and teaching students. And guess what? I've set up a training arm.
I just wanted to say what usually happens is that we find another way that our passion and our talent shows up in a different way because it's almost like we can't let that one go. That
Mm,
because that's the part that brings us energy. We
mm.
will find ways to create that energy in our lives.
Yeah. So yeah, we now offer training to our clients, and as well as me, I've written some training courses which other people deliver. But just this morning, I've been asked, and I'm going to deliver a training course to clinicians about healthcare engineering, and I'm writing it and I'm delivering it, and I'm in seventh heaven because I'm going to do some training. It's one day. It's enough.
Look at that. Look at that. That is what I'm talking about. Take the break or make the break in your life. I'm not saying everybody buy, get a dog and walk the dog, but maybe just get outside and walk. Definitely start going out and putting some reflection time in your life. And then prepare for something that will show up. And
Yeah,
prepare, I mean it with the mindset. Like we can't really prepare, who's gonna show up and what opportunities. But we can prepare in our mindset to be receptive and open to possibilities. I am so happy that your husband took the courage, and I would wonder, maybe you can ask him after he returns home, of how many times did he think about it before he really asked you, thinking that you will say no, and then it's like, oh, I'm just gonna ask. So I'm curious. I'm curious. You can let me know later once you talk to him, because
yeah,
even people have doubts who have the opportunity and who want our well-being. They want good too. They want to do something really good for us, and they're afraid that we gonna say no, that we are gonna reject them and their offer and the opportunity. So it's so awesome to hear that he asked you at the right time and you said yes, and now you're building the life with the elements that you wanted.
yeah, exactly. And I think like I say, come with being a director, you've got all these responsibilities, but it's also a lot of fun. I enjoy what I do because I can I can do good things. I can do fun things. We've just taken on a digital apprentice. So this is someone who's helping us with you know, online presence with our posts on LinkedIn. And you know, I'm really excited about what she's bringing, because she's like 40 years younger than us. And she's bringing all the new things in to the company that we need to get people to engage with us and to understand what we're doing. Yeah, and I'm encouraging her. I want her to change our advertisements into cartoons. That's my idea. It might be a rubbish idea. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if engineers like cartoons.
Engineers like cartoons, I can tell you. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's
They
good to hear.
like humor, they are funny, like
Oh,
yourself. Yes. They like fun, they appreciate it, and would like more of it. So, yes, that's a good direction. I like it. And I'm happy that you brought this concept of having fun, that even in a stressful, let's say risky role, one can have fun. That humor can be part of our leadership, is again the choice that we make. Well, is there something that I didn't ask you that you still want to share, Louise, today?
do you know what, Andrea? I don't think there is. I think you've given me food for thought, which is always the case when I read your posts in LinkedIn. So
Mm.
thank you for that. That's and no, I don't think there is anything. The only thing I would say is let's check in again in a year's time and see what's happening.
Oh, yes, I would love to. Then, for closing, if people got inspired and want to connect with you and your company and find out more, how can they do that?
Well, we're on the World Wide Web, would you believe? Very, very easy to find us. It's drlc.uk. Just look us up.
Awesome. Well, we'll add that link into the podcast notes for those who are listening. And feel free to connect with Louise and ask her more questions on her transition. So, thank you very much for being here today and sharing your experience with us.
It's been a pleasure, Andrea, and I mean that so sincerely. Thank you, and hope to speak to you again in a year's time.
Yes, we will do that. Thank you.